I wanted to involve in this discussion Ireland's first UN youth delegates who were part of the Irish official delegation at the last General Assembly just gone, Owen O'Lehan and Orla Murphy, two very impressive young people who I would urge to consider a career in politics rather than journalism, because the Minister can handle competition better than I can. Anyway.
Thanks, David. And special thanks also to our distinguished guests here today. It's such an honour to hear from you. As mentioned, this is the first year that Ireland has had a youth delegate programme, and I guess it's very fitting with the theme today of looking back and preparing for the future, because the problems discussed by our speakers here today, like climate change or migration or European unity, will certainly be felt by our generation, and a lot of the responsibility to fulfil the likes of the Sustainable Development Goals will be up to young people. So that's why this programme was instituted by the Department of Foreign Affairs, the National Youth Council of Ireland, to involve young people who happen to make up over 50% of the world in decision-making processes. And so it's a real honour for myself and Orla to do that for the first time. We joined the Irish delegation in autumn in New York for the General Assembly, and many thanks to the Irish Mission for accepting us as part of the team during that time. We were there when the gavel came down for the goals to be adopted. We went to speech in the third committee, worked with other youth delegate programmes from other countries around the world, and just learned so much in that 3-week period. On a personal note, at one point, we attended an Irish aid run event, which was called Zero Hunger, and our own President, Michael D. Higgins, was facilitating that with the thesis of trying to muster resources to see how we could end hunger in 15 years. The fact that no child would go to bed hungry in the entire world.
There was a scrutiny done by the civil society of these 186 INDCs, and by and large it was the poor developing countries who came out as most ambitious, not the richest part of the world where you think would be more ambitious. Spread the word to young people to really get on top of this and be angry and focused and insist that politicians do more, because we really have to. The time is running out. We do not have a luxury in this. And also, it will be a better world. And I was very conscious of the way you both spoke the values. Think about the 1.3 billion people in the world today who don't have access to electricity, who light their home on kerosene and candles. They are reachable now in 2 ways. We have the gadgets, we have the lights, we have clean cook stoves, we have mini circuits, mini things that will provide the change in their home. And we have the method of payment by apps on mobile phones. Put those two together, and there is no reason why so many people, particularly in Africa and South Asia, and that's the kind of challenge that your generation can really help, not just to meet, but to say it is not acceptable that people don't have access to energy, because that's essential to be able to come out of poverty and improve your lives.
Mr. Dow?
I would encourage you to get engaged. I would encourage you to assume responsibility. You're never too young to lead. And it starts in your communities. If you see something going wrong, do something about it. Organize yourselves with friends. It doesn't have to be anything huge. It could be something as simple as walking by and seeing a young person being bullied and say, stop, this cannot go on. We cannot, remembering that even big issues like the genocide begins with humiliation of one individual. So if you can get involved at that stage and reach out and engage with the next generation, the older generation, talk to them. I mean, you are lucky, you are growing up in a period where there's loss of communication. You have all sorts of possibilities of communication. I grew up at a time when a child was to be seen and not heard. But I found my voice. You have your voices already, and you're encouraged to speak up and use it. Make more noise on the issues that are important to you. Put pressure on the politicians so that they do not ignore those important issues, whether it's health, whether it's environment, whether it's employment. They must hear you. Keep it high up the political agenda until you get action. And as individuals, you also have power. Mary has spoken very eloquently about the environment. have power through the choices you make when you go into a shop, through the purchases you make when you're buying a car, and what type of a car, or whether you want to bicycle, and you can really have play a role with the choices you make. So my advice to you is assume leadership, assume responsibility, don't hold back, and don't think the old ones know better. The world is changing. You understand the world that's coming out there much more than we do. Are we focused on the world that is around the corner? Are we solving the problems of tomorrow? Or are we leading, saying this is what we do? You have to challenge us. Thank you.
Yeah, I think following on two very expert analyses, I have very little to say, but I've a couple of points. First of all, we live in an era, in my view, of unbridled cynicism. Cynicism about leadership, cynicism about politicians, cynicism about change, and often cynicism from hurlers on the ditch, as we say in Ireland, who get involved in nothing, do nothing but complain. That's what you mustn't do. I actually think, my father used to say, late father used to say many years ago, that politics was the second highest profession, in his view, after the church. And I think that politics is a profession that people should aspire to and should not denigrate and should be involved with. Most politicians I've met genuinely, in the end of the day, are trying to do the right thing. And you should join them, not provoke them, or not attack them except in extreme circumstances when they deserve it. That's my view. The second point I would make is, and this is about Ireland. Ireland has left, and I hope this isn't a false nationalism expressed to a home audience, but all over the world, Ireland has a fine reputation. It has been acquired at great cost by missionaries, by NGOs, by Irish people who have committed themselves in a most practical way to bettering the world in which they live. And we shouldn't be ashamed of it. We should be proud of it. And it's actually true. Anywhere you go in Africa, or anywhere you go in Latin America, and I remember when I needed votes to get into the WTO, I found this. Everyone was educated by somebody who was Irish or had some connection with Ireland. And these are the people who have made real change. And I think that's what you should aspire to. NGO activity, I think, is very important. And so is politics.
If I may say that at the UN, Ireland is considered a model member and a country that punches above its weight, and you should keep doing that.
Well, I'm conscious that we're actually out of time, but I just wanted to perhaps get some closing thoughts from each of you on that particular issue, which is